Sure. Do I need to call order on our admin? Oh my goodness. Okay. Right. Okay. Meeting's called to order. First item of business is accentuate the positive.
Good evening, board. Happy beginning of the school year. It's wonderful to have you here at PES. My name is Shauna Schleif, and I'm the principal here. And I just want to kick it off by sharing we are super excited to have a great partnership with the Boys and Girls Club this year. And we're just honored and thrilled beyond belief at the service that they're providing for our students with their programming and their affordable care for our families. I want to give a shout out to Laura Millette, our community care person, for helping families navigate getting signed up and all of that kind of stuff. And we already have more students registered in this aftercare program than we've had in any aftercare program. So that's awesome. Also wanted to share that we did some exercises around living through our values. So as you know, our 4 values are clarity, calmness, courage, and compassion. Thank you, Heather. I have them written down. I get a little nervous sometimes. But I just want to share a few stories about that. So first of all, with clarity, we really appreciate the added in-service time to help us gain more clarity on ways in which we can improve our instruction and really have impact on students. So big shout out to all our district and curriculum partners for providing really amazing training for our teachers and staff. That was awesome. Calm. It has been, if you walk in this campus, it's been really calm. And I want to give a credit out to our whole staff. We have a lot of new staff members, but they come with such flexibility and willingness to serve. And teachers are working on routines and predictability. And so things just feel really calm here. And it feels like a wonderful start to the year. Courage, I want to say, like, we're all trying new things. And so I just want to give a shout out to the whole staff to do what we ask students to do every day, which is learn and try new things. And so we're doing some of that ourselves and we're really enjoying it. So I just want to say thank you to our staff for that. And last but not least, compassion. I want to share a quick story. Today we had a student in kindergarten who didn't have a hard time dropping off yesterday, but really had a hard time dropping off today. So much so that the teacher's holding the kid, trying to do head, shoulders, knees, and toes, keeping the other 25 kids occupied. And it was like all of the adults were trying to help the student without much success, but it was when the little kid brought a little animal to him, and then the teacher had done some home visits with a stuffy, and so another kid went and grabbed that stuffy and brought it to the kid, and that's what he needed in order to settle down, was compassion from his peers. And so it was just a really sweet story about how, sometimes we think we have all the answers, but it's the kids in the classroom that provided that compassion for this little guy. Anyways, we're super excited about this year, and that's it from PES.
Thanks, Shauna. Good evening, board. Heather Lowe from Talent Elementary. We've also had a really awesome start to the year. And I would attribute that to just the teamwork and collaboration within our Talent family, staff family, like everybody's working together. So we've also had some smooth sailing, which feels really good. Speaking of smooth sailing, I want to shout out to teachers. We had our fall family orientation on Tuesday, welcoming people in. We had, 3 sessions, much like we did last year, and just it was great to see families engaged with each other, learning about the key learning targets for the school year, and really getting to know their teacher for the year. So just thanks to the teachers for all their organization and the courage to try new things. Speaking of smooth sailing, I want to shout out to our behavior team, which includes Kelly Moran, Sonia Mendez, Tiffany Bach, and Zach Boyd Helm. They put together a really cool presentation for kids to just really outline the clear expectations for kids when they're in all the different settings. And so yesterday all students got to listen to what is expected in the cafeteria or the library. So it was really a good way to set the tone for kids yesterday. So thanks to them. I also I know this has been publicized already, but I want to say publicly to you guys how much I appreciate Rachel Andres and Samantha Dedrick, our first grade teacher, for all the work they did to kind of spearhead that mural project at Talent. If you haven't seen it, it's really beautiful. And yesterday, it was so fun. It's fun to welcome new families back, but so many of our families ran over, including myself, to the mural to take the first day of school pic in front of it. So I know that that's going to be a lasting memory for many of our families for years and years, and probably a tradition because it's just so beautiful. So thanks to those guys. And then I just wanted to share one last thing. The Ivy School, the preschool at Talent, is full and just hopping. It is so much fun. They've got 20 kids, ages 3 to 5. And my goodness, if we thought kindergarten was hard, we learned a little bit of Maybe preschool's harder. They were so funny. These little 3-year-olds who, some of them never been in daycare, but they're eating in the cafeteria and just learning how to be students. And so yesterday we were like, holy cow, and today miles of difference, just that. So a real big thank you to the partnership that we have with them. And I know that's going to pay off for many years to come, and I'm really grateful for that. So that's it from me. Kent?
Thanks very much, Heather. Kent Valera, I'm lucky to be the principal at Orchard Hill. And let me tell you, first of all, I do not have a witty analogy or a story to tell you as my predecessor. So I'll work on that maybe next board meeting. I'll cook something up, okay? Maybe even shave my head, and we'll see how that goes. But anyway, the last 5 years I've been in the district, and I've greatly enjoyed working in Phoenix Talent. But it's all been in secondary. And I have been an elementary principal for many years in a couple different states. There's nothing like the face of a kindergartner on the very first day of school. And there's nothing like looking into their parents' faces either. And for a principal, there's nothing like going out and greeting your students and looking up and seeing a first grader and having the board chair student there too. So no pressure at all. But anyway, our first day really at Orchard Hill was fabulous. I was amazed at the systems that are in place, welcoming the kids, getting them safely and successfully from point A to point B, getting them into classrooms. The teachers and the staff is very obvious. They've done a lot of work to create routines and set that stage for success and student achievement once the kids get in the classroom. So I'm very indebted to all the staff that had a hand in developing that over a couple of years. Also, I'd like to thank Erica Casarati and Sarah Ingstrom. We had to retool our schedule at the 11th hour a little bit. They put a lot of work into it. We're creative, good team members, understanding why some changes need to be made. And I think it's indicative of the entire team at Orchard Hill. So I'm indebted to Erica and Sarah. Also, going back to an elementary school, we all know who really is in charge of an elementary school. That's the school secretary, right? And man, Diane Wolf is awesome. And so I want to make sure I publicly acknowledge her work through August, getting kids registered. Also, we welcomed Crystal Solis. Gotta make sure I'm saying it. Solis, yes, Solace. That's it, Solace. Crystal Solace, who was in the district before, but is now in the building. And Judy Dedrick, who, as you know, retired, but Judy came back for a couple of training days. So thank you, Jessica, for supporting that endeavor and making sure that it's off to a good start. So things are good at Orchard Hill. And if you ever want to come visit, please do. Catherine Holden, everybody. You got a story or witty analogy?
Funny you say that, because when I was driving over here, I was thinking we're gonna all miss Brandon's stories, but then I thought, oh, Kent will have one for us, of course. So next time. Catherine Holden, principal of Talent Middle School. That's nice and close. So nice to be here this evening. And I just want to say we've had a great first few days at Talent Middle School as well. It just feels really, really good. And we had a student yesterday, 8th grade student, who was exiting for the day. And he's a quiet, soft-spoken student. And he must have heard my announcement in the morning around treating each other with kindness, particularly in the hallways, and how we can be kind in the hallways and be calm and make sure the volume's not too loud and make sure we're walking, that's one way we can show kindness when we're in the hallways. And so he saw me in the hallway as he was about to go out to the bus loop, and he kind of stopped and quiet. He said, well, if we had to say it, I think so far so good. And he said, I think we did pretty good in the hallways. I said, we did great in the hallways. So yes, I'm so glad we're all on the same page. So big thank you to all of our teachers who got everything up and running. The first few days have just been amazing because of their structures and organization and the way they welcome their students for a kind of day and a half of homeroom time. So the students really got to settle into their homerooms and connect with peers and connect with their teachers. We also did some great work around restorative community building circles during in-service, and our teachers participated in those. And then I've been in classrooms the last couple of days, and I see circles happening, and I can see that students are connecting. And so I just really appreciate that our teachers are doing that and doing it well and making students feel so connected. Also wanted to express our gratitude for the district, for the Talent Police Department, the board for sure. It's really nice to have our SRO, Sergeant Lehman, full-time now. And that just feels like it really rounded out sort of our safety procedures and knowing that we can really lean on him when we need to. Even today, we We had a little construction zone right there on Christian Avenue, right at about 2 o'clock is when we realized it wasn't going to be gone at 3:10 when we were releasing. But Sergeant Lehman jumped in. He helped direct, like he made sure that there were people there to direct traffic. We were able to send our parents over to Talent Elementary School. So big thank you to them for hosting us in the parking lot. And lastly, we wanted to thank our maintenance and custodial staff. The team this summer just, again, did an amazing job really taking a school setting that is a little shabby around the edges and making it look so much nicer for so many reasons. We have some beautiful polished concrete floor now in a lot of our hallways. They replaced a number of walls, like the band wall, which was an accordion wall. It's really nice to have a solid wall there now. A lot more kind of blue. They added a lot more blue to our doors that were kind of a dark red. And we have so much more lighting now. So really, it just from a year ago when I first stepped foot on that campus, it just feels really light and airy and beautiful and cleaner. And so I really, really appreciate all that hard work to make it look so nice. So that's it from Talent Middle School. Kaylin's up next.
Good evening, board. Caitlin Cross, Phoenix High School. I would echo what a lot of my colleagues have said. We're super thankful to have the time with staff during in-service. We were able to just solidify some clear purposes and get further on some work that we started this last spring. We also welcomed quite a few new staff members to the high school, and so it was really great to have just the time to welcome them, get them situated, and our veteran teachers were just amazingly helpful in just getting them to feel ready for students. We had a great first day, even though we had a little bit of a bump in the road. So our very first day, we welcome our freshmen and our brand new students back. And I don't know if you know Carolina Campbell, but she is a rock star and she leads our link crew. And she was feeling, I would say, more than a tad under the weather. And so she wasn't able to make it to our first day back, which would cause a principal like me to maybe panic just a little. And so I was scrambling to try and figure out what we were going to do. And like normal on the pirate ship, we had people step up and take over. Because Carolina's so organized, Tammy Ingwerson was able to meet with our new graduation coach, Skylar Glines, to debrief her. And we had the smoothest day. The link crew leaders, who are juniors and seniors, were amazing and flexible and just made it happen. Unless I told you that someone wasn't there, you wouldn't have known as far as how smooth it was. And so just a shout out to those people, Carolina, Tammy, Skylar, and the link crew leaders for making that happen. It was great. And also to Lisa Robin, who's our leadership teacher, and some of our leadership students who welcomed our new students, not freshmen, on campus to give them a tour. They gave them Puck's Donuts, you know, like a real great welcome, and that was awesome. We also had a great first day yesterday, super smooth, nothing really to report, which is probably the best about that. We wanted to shout out to everybody who made our school-based health center come together probably in a record time. We have an amazing facility now at the theater end of our building that La Clinica right now is just making sure they're all set up for. I'm meeting with their administration next week so we could get a workflow. We're really excited about serving our community and our families through that. And so thank you to them and to John McCaleb for making sure that was a smooth transition. You'll be hearing more about that soon. Lastly, our building feels alive now that kids are there. Both of my APs, unless they made it back in time, are out and about supervising activities because, you know, kids are running and footballing and everything else. And so tomorrow I wanted to invite you to our very first Welcome Back rally. It's happening at 12:10 in our big gym. We would love to see you. It's a collaborative effort between our amazing band, our brand new cheer team, our leadership students, our ASB officers, and some adults who are putting a little bit extra time. So shout out to Chris Plower and also to Celine Fairmont for making some magic happen. So we hope you can join us there tomorrow. And if the lunch hour is a little bit too busy for you, we invite you to our first home football game tomorrow evening. That's also going to be amazing. We're hoping to hear the cannon go off more than once. So that's it from PHS.
We might start with once. Aaron Santi, Phoenix Talent Rising Academy. Just a few things for our beginning. Wanted to let you guys know we had 6 new students enroll just in this last week, and 5 of those 6 were from homeschool and charter schools. So really meeting the kind of goals that we had set for ourselves. I want to thank Danny Goodwin for that. She's been working really hard to try to market to that community. So that's who we're really trying to target. Also, we had our most highly attended beginning of the year family orientation night, Tuesday night. We had 62% of our families attend, and several of those who couldn't make it asked for copies of the recording because they had conflicting things. But really excited about our family engagement so far, along with the rest of the schools. That's another goal of ours, is to try to make sure we're connecting with our families and engaging with them. Finally, I do want to say that we moved our physical class. It's here on campus at Phoenix Elementary. We moved just across the walkway up there, and I want to thank Shauna and PES for supporting that, as well as the ELD department here, Migrant Ed, Boys and Girls Club. We were all in the mix trying to make that all work, and I think that we got a great solution because I got what I wanted. But I'm thinking it's pretty workable for everybody. But I want to thank all those parties for working with us and trying to get a good solution for everyone. So looking forward to collaborating with them, continuing. Thank you.
Thank you, board. Good evening, Tiffany Lambert, Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning. And I just wanted to take a moment to thank our special education team. I mean, they're amazing. And we have just amazing people in the positions. I have a colleague in Corvallis School District that ended up sending me a message of, what are you guys doing down in Phoenix Talent? From his special ed advisory board, the parents and the community there said they wanted to model their program off Phoenix Talent. And I thought that was really awesome from Corvallis. And we truly do have an amazing team. I want to give a special shout out to our speech and language pathology department. As you know, we had a retirement last year with Kelly Reed retired at SLP. And Tatiana Ramos Gallarda went to do her PhD work in San Diego. And she's still working with us by contract to do our bilingual assessments. It's really hard to find an SLP, and we didn't find one, but we got really creative thanks to Jacqueline Fortner, one of our SLPs, who agreed to supervise speech and language pathology assistants. And we got 2 of them, and they're amazing. They have a lot of great energy. So I want to welcome Jillian, Shane Holtz, and Kevin Wheeler to the group. They're really great. And thank our SLPs for really doubling up on their workload. So Carmen Edward Henry and Jody Correpta. And then lastly, second last, I want to give a shout out to Charlene Patton. She's the executive assistant of teaching and learning and the special ed secretary. She does so many things. She left today for a well-deserved vacation. She's been working all year. And then now lastly, a shout out to Nurse Carrie McDonald. I didn't realize how many medical protocols she did until I said, why don't you carbon copy me on those as you email them out to teachers? It's a lot. I regret asking her that, but we do have it. She's been making sure to upload. But one nice thing too about having our district nurses, there are students that previously we needed to send to a different school because we couldn't support their health needs. And it's really comforting, all the kinders, everybody moving in, that we can serve them all, to have our nurse delegate the task. So thank you to all the classified staff too that are taking on those delegated tasks. But we were truly able to welcome all of our students into their neighborhood schools this year. So I'm really proud about that.
Good evening, board. Amy Hans here, food service. And we have been hitting the ground running here, starting the new year. It's been a lot of fun. I have to thank Shauna for hosting me here on the first day. And we had kinders coming in, doing scavenger hunts. They included us in the lunchroom. It was just so much fun. And then I got to spend today at the high school. So I have to agree with Kent. There's nothing like seeing the kindergartners on the first day. It is so much fun. But I'm telling you, seeing those, sophomores and seniors even coming in, like excited to see some of our new food options, which leads me to, at the high school, we went ahead and added a grab and go spice house. So it's where you can get your Oriental grab and go boxes. That is a full reimbursable meal. They still have access to unlimited fruits and veggies, but they can grab that box and run out the door like they like to do at this time of the year to keep that socialization going. So that has been great to see that that's going off with success. We had to double our numbers today. We started with 50 yesterday on that line. We did 100 today. I actually made it myself. I was very proud to be there all day. And we only had 12 left over. And I haven't got to make it for the day yet at the middle school, but we spent many days there, the few weeks leading up to school starting, opening up what we call our new foodie cafe. So if you ever noticed in the middle school, we used to call it DYK or Did You Know Cafe. And thanks to a lot, Randy, I have to say, and John's full team who fully supports us all the time, every day. There's always little hiccups with kitchen equipment. You just can't go a day without it. And his team is always there to help us. But even things like hanging all these new signs and poster boards that we put up in all the schools. And there was a lot when we're switching from DYK to Foodie. But I think Catherine would have to speak for sure, but I think it looks beautiful. I think the kids are really excited. A lot of new lines with switching that over to the Foodie. So it's been success getting some of this new marketing things up and going in the kitchens. Got a new piece of equipment that we're going to play with at the high school called a Turbo Chef oven. It will cook a pizza in 3 minutes. So I'm hoping to be able to cook some pizzas on the line for the kids to see there. It's going to be fun. I've got to play with it yet, but so that's it for food service. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amy, and thank you, everybody. It's so nice to hear what's going on as school begins this week. Anything from the board?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. It's so great to see you guys. I want to give a shout out to John McCallop and the maintenance team and the district really for the new exercise area at the high school. I had the opportunity to get to see it. And so I walked up there and there was a few students kind of milling around and they followed me up and they were like, what do we do here? And I was like, there's a placard right here that shows you how to use it. And so they were jumping around and having a good time and trying the merry-go-round out and really impressed with the cushy floor part. And so just really excited. It looks fantastic. I hope the students at the high school will be able to, all the students at the high school will be able to enjoy it. And just a shout out to John for making that happen and having it open for the first of the school year.
Thank you. Any others? Okay, we will move to citizen comments. We do have 2 that were sent in ahead of time. As a reminder, school board meetings are meetings of the school board held in public, not meetings with the public. As a general rule, the board will not engage in discussion with the public during this portion of the meeting. When your name is called, come forward and state your name. If joining virtually, please use the raise your hand feature, address, and identify the organization, if any, that you represent. Keep your remarks brief and respect the 3-minute time limit. Complaints about staff members cannot be discussed in open session and must be handled through a complaint procedure. And with that, our first intent to speak. Did you want to go first, Laura? Okay, Rosario was first in my pile, but we can pivot here. Laura Latham.
Yes, hi. Dear Phoenix Talent School Board, my name is Laura Latham, and I am the president of the Phoenix Talent Education Association, which is the union that represents the licensed educators of Phoenix Talent School District. As you know, our negotiations with the district are ongoing, and today is our 10th day without a contract. I'm here today to stress how important a completed fair contract is to our members. At the end of our most recent session, August 30th, the district offered 3 additional dates, all after the first payroll of this year. We had hoped for more frequent sessions so that way we could complete this important work. Our members are in full support of our PTEA bargaining team. They believe in our team to secure for them a fair and equitable contract, but not without a cost to them. For each payroll cycle that we do not settle, our members continue to live with uncertainty about their finances, as well as health insurance cap. Our members work tirelessly to serve our students and our community. They sacrifice time at home to grade papers and cut out endless sheets of lamination. They dedicate school time, after school time, to attending sporting events, as well as community events. Our educators are the pillars that build this community, and they deserve to provide quality education to students without having to wonder about their working conditions, when they'll get their hard-earned COLA, or how much that they will have in order to take care of their health and the wellness of them and their families. We need to settle this contract in a fair way that honors our educators
and also ensures our district's financial future. Much of what we are asking for is standard practice in other districts or costs our district nothing. Enclosed in your envelopes is a copy of our current proposal. Please reach out at my district email, laura.latham@phoenixk12.or.us if you have questions or would like to meet to discuss the impacts that this bargain has and continues to have on the educators that serve our district.
Thank you. Rosario?
Good evening. I am Rosario Medina, the Vice President of the Phoenix Talent Education Association. You have just heard from our President, Laura Latham, a little bit of what it means to our members to be working without a contract. So I just want to bring to light a solution that could possibly help us finish negotiations in a timely manner while also allowing PTA and the district team to collaboratively create a fair contract for the educators of Phoenix Talent so that they can give the students in our community the quality education they deserve. Yes, our members are wanting to know what our COLA is going to be because they have bills and all that stuff to pay. But a lot of the stuff that we're asking for is supports for our educators that's going to support them to give our students the quality education that they deserve. So because our bargaining sessions thus far have only been a few hours, it is difficult for us to thoroughly explain a rationale for article changes to the district. This short amount of time, coupled with the fact that we are now exchanging full package proposals at the district request versus discussing a few articles at a time, as we did at the beginning of the process, makes it hard for real progress to be made. Moving to full packages means that we need to take longer caucuses to thoroughly go over the district proposals so that we are certain the changes will benefit our members and in turn benefit the students we serve. PTA also needs to thoroughly explain any changes we are proposing and explain the rationale behind our proposal and changes. We have asked the district bargaining team if we could return to going over the contract article by article, but they declined. We asked if we could set up full day sessions and they declined. In past bargaining cycles, we have done full day bargaining sessions. I urge the board to encourage the district team to agree to longer full day sessions. At this point, our members will be receiving their first paycheck while working without a contract. At the moment, we have a bargaining session scheduled for September 18th. And if I'm recalling correctly, today I just heard we have one possibly set for October 25th. That means our members are honestly probably going to face two paychecks working without a contract. We really need to get some full bargaining day sessions in between those 2 dates. We are looking for collaboration, but, and it breaks my heart, we are being met with strong resistance. In your packet, like Laura said, you will find some information about our current proposal. I won't go into details about that, but I do want to say that many of the pieces, as Laura has said, are standard practices in districts across the valley. You can always find more information, PTA's bargaining updates, and what we are all about by visiting our website and social media, and that information is in our packet as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rosario. That's all of the intent to speak forms that I have. Was there anyone else who wished to address the board tonight? Do we have anyone online who wishes to speak? Please raise your hand. Okay, thank you. Citizens' comments are now closed, and we will move to the superintendent report. Mr. Berry?
Thank you, Chair Campbell. I just want to kind of start off by echoing all the positives that you heard from our administration earlier. Just thank our admin team and the staffs that they lead because they have prepared for this year like no other. And it feels good to really start a year that is somewhat calm, but if a first day of school can be calm. But just thank you for all their effort and preparation. I got a chance to get in every school yesterday for the first official day. And it was just amazing to see all the smiles. When I got to the high school, I still have some students that I've worked with at Orchard Hill. And one student, it was 11:45 lunchtime. And I go, how's it going? She goes, I'm exhausted. And they looked exhausted. So So that's just a testament to, you know, what our staff has to work with as they come in and really redo their schedules and get on a sleeping pattern that may work better for a school environment. In your packets, you do have and I want to preface this enrollment update with this changes by the hour really over the next several days. But I did just want to give you a sense of where we are with a snapshot from yesterday to where we were from last year. So you'll notice at this time last year, we are down 64 students from when we started in the previous school year. We are down 11 students from when we left in June. I know you guys have seen the stories on the housing and all the challenges that have been happening with that and the slow how slow that process is. And you know, that has a lot to do with this. Our families really are, some of them I hear are waiting to get into our district, but there's just nothing available. Over the next 2 years, there will be, I'm confident there will be many more units coming online for our families to move into. And hopefully those are some of our families that have had to leave us, and then new families moving in as well. Finally, I just want to end with the reason we are in this predicament with enrollment is tomorrow's the 3rd anniversary of the Alameda fire. And that was such a tragic and traumatic day for all of us. And we sent out some messages tonight to families just to remember that time and you know, make sure that it's not forgotten, and the realization that many of our families are still struggling to have permanent housing and stability in their lives. And so thank this whole team, thank the people that have been here to support that effort and our kids' effort to have some sort of normalcy and routines. And we're hopeful for the next 2 years that we will continue to get some housing available for all those families. So, and that's all I had.
Thank you, Brent. Any questions for Brent? I just had one, and you may not have this at the top of your head, but you know, we started with a certain number on that first day. And then by the end of the year, we had lost 53 students from the first day of school. Is that pretty typical each year, even pre-fire?
Yeah, that is a typical trend, because the number on that first week, which is scary, a little bit scary of the number that we're looking at right now, those start to get reduced a little bit because we get records requests from other schools where students are, or you know, students may have moved, maybe they moved out of state and we didn't know. And so after 10 days, we do a 10-day drop process where typically that number drops significantly. As far as the ebb and flow of the numbers, it's not an unusual number. I'd have to look to see what the margin is on other years, but that's a fairly typical on a year.
I was just thinking about, you know, for 64 fewer students at the start of this year compared to last year, and that trend continues, we could see the enrollment picture get even worse. So, okay. Thank you. Next is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the revised agenda as presented.
I second.
Thank you. Just for clarification, we're approving the revised agenda as part of the larger consent agenda. No problem. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. I know. And Don second remains. Any objections? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. We do not have any action items. And we'll move to information and discussion and facilities bond update.
Yeah, is John online?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. You're up.
Oh, okay. First of all, I've missed you guys. I haven't seen you since summer started. I took a little trip and it was a great summer, but I figured I would just let you know all the work that my team did over the summer and let you know what we're working on now. And then answer questions if you have any. So I'm gonna put my glasses on so I can read my writing. District-wide, we instituted a new facility and our maintenance and facility scheduling process and a software called FMX. We installed it, tested it, and we're very fortunate. We got to train the entire staff over the in-service training. Thanks, admin, for that, because the maintenance program has really kicked off strong. We also changed our custodial supplier to Cintas, and we oversaw a new dispenser installation and a full transition for all of our chemicals, all of our cleaning needs. And that went very smooth as well. At PHS, as I believe you've all heard, we did finish the health clinic in record time. I heard many that they were totally impressed. Have never seen a health clinic come together so fast. And I really have to thank my team and the contractors that we hired, because everything turned out and worked out great. As Sarah mentioned, the playground workout area is complete. I think it's beautiful. It's a beautiful addition to the school. And I think all high school students or all students that actually visit the school are going to be very pleased with the how it turned out. At Talent Middle School, we polished 20 concrete. We did that in-house after buying the equipment last year, and it turned out beautiful. We've got about 10,000 more feet to do next year during the seismic upgrade. But we're very excited. It's much cleaner. It's the whole building after the new paint and the concrete polishing just looks entirely different. As Catherine mentioned that we built a solid wall in the band room. We also built a partition wall for Talent Middle School, La Clinica counselors, so that they could add a room for counseling. And we did all that in-house as well. We installed carpet in 8 rooms, and painted all the hallways, 6 classrooms, and numerous doors and window frames that I believe Catherine mentioned. At Talent Elementary, we painted numerous exterior doors. I think it was roughly about 24 doors. And then we painted all of the sidewalk markings, the yellow circles next to the doors, all the lines for the kids to line up, everything else, to give it a fresh new look when students arrived. At Phoenix Elementary, we painted the same sidewalk markings. We painted a lot of doors and 2 bathrooms. We had a very active paint crew this year. They did an amazing job. We took on a landscape beautification project by the bus loop. It looks much better, but we're still working on it. We have a lot of plantings to do. It was just late in the summer and not a great time to plant. But by next spring, that area will be a completely changed area thanks to my grounds crew. Orchard Hill, we painted 20+ doors and once again, all of the sidewalk markings for students' return. We started a landscape beautification project by the bus loop and on Wanapero. We still have a lot of plantings to do and some more bark to lay, but that will be an ongoing project that once again, by next spring is going to look entirely different and give the school a whole new feel. We also framed and installed a new door to add a classroom. It used to be an old computer classroom that was like wide open. So we framed in and installed doors so that it could be used as a classroom again. At Transition House, we tore out all of the flooring and installed all new flooring throughout the entire building to make it a little bit more accommodating for students in wheelchairs and walking devices. That wraps up the summer. Wanted to let you know what we're currently working on because we never stop. Of course, we're supporting staff while they get settled into their classrooms and helping to move furniture and whiteboards and things like that to make their teaching experience and the students' experience better. We are just finishing up on digitizing a new material SDS, safety data sheet system for the district. That will be available to all on the district website, all staff and even the public. And there will be little bar scan devices like in the science room. So if there's an issue, they can just scan it with their phone, go right to the list and look up whatever chemical they're dealing with. I'm still working on Culver master plan design. We're overseeing a phase 2 environmental study at Culver so that we can get that included into the city's property or zone. And of course, PHS tennis court design still going on, and TMS and TES seismic upgrade design is ongoing. Looking forward to finalizing some of those numbers so that allocations with ESSER and bond funds can be completed. Any questions for me?
I'm not hearing any, John, but thank you and your team for the incredible work, keeping our schools safe and looking nice. We appreciate it. Thank you.
I might just make a comment on, you remember when we had HMK doing a lot of our project managing. Now they're really just a consultant, and all the projects at the end are huge projects that really John is project managing, that really kind of maximizes our bond dollars and the funding that we have. So thank you to John and his team for that.
Thank you.
All right. Financial update.
Yasmin is here, and she'll just she's been kind of hard at work wrapping up the last school year and has some things to share.
Good evening, board. Yasmin Carabinas, Director of Accounting. So reviewing the financial report through the end of June of last year, our ending fund balance, or our estimate right now before the audit is finalized, is $6,845,000, which is about $480,000 more than the last estimate I gave you at the end of May. Mainly is because we received more revenues from the ESD through the Choice and Equity Program, about $142,000, as well as property taxes above what we were estimating for the year, about $75,000. Another thing to note on revenues is that in our budget, we were budgeting about $85,000 that we're going to receive in interest. But when we prepared the budget the year before, we were only earning about 70.75% on the LGIP account. And at the end of June, we were already earning a 4.05%. So the total interest received for the year grew to $356,000. Besides that, we did spend a little bit less on expenditures to what we're estimating. It was mainly due to unemployment. It was a little bit less last year than the year before, as well as workers' comp. We received a big credit because there were no accidents. And so that also lowered our expenditures for the year. One thing to note is if you look at the ending fund balance from 21-22 to the ending fund balance for 22-23, between the 2 years, there's a reduction of $2.318 million in total. That's what I have for general fund. If you have any questions for me. We did have some big purchases last year, mainly for curriculum that were done with the HB 4026 monies. And we also used that grant to pay for district office salaries as well, in maintenance and in information technology salaries. Other than that, something to note on the financial report is the state school fund. If you look at the last column of your reports, there's a negative there of the revenue received between, or the comparison between 21-22 and 22-23. The reason why is because on the 2021 year, the ADMW was 155 more than in 21-22, and that's how we received the revenues for that year in comparison to what we have right now. So even though the funding always goes up, the ratio of the funding, there's still enough that there's a negative between the 2 years. So, and I was looking at the enrollment report from Brent. Hopefully that enrollment goes up, mainly for Orchard Hill, because it's about 40 students. So, the next page for capital projects fund is pretty much, it's remaining flat. It's almost the same as what we ended the year before. And for the construction excise fund, it's pretty much, it's about 24,000 less than where we started the year. So it's remaining steady. As far as ESSER expenditures, your third page, ESSER 2, we're expecting that it will be fully spent by September 30th, which is the expiration date for the grant. And for ESSER 3, there's still a big balance showing there, but we do have a lot of plans for this year. All those positions that we're paying with ESSER 2 will be transferred to ESSER 3, besides the ones that were already funded with ESSER 3. And also we have some capital projects planned that we're hoping to utilize all the monies for that grant throughout the year. Okay, and that's all for me. If you have any questions.
I do, but I'm waiting to see if my colleagues do first. Okay, can you help explain, so a couple of things popped out at me. The beginning fund balance between the adopted budget and the projection in column 3, if you could just explain that. And then could you just explain where we're at with HB 4026 and the allocation and how that's factoring in this year?
Sure. So when we were adopting the budget for 22-23, our projection was a lot different to the ending fund balance. And part of it is because we didn't receive the House Bill 4026 monies as we were promised during the same year, but they were actually funded until the 22-23 year. So I was able to go back and apply 567,000 of that allocation to the year before because I hadn't closed for the audit. And then the remaining had to be spent during 22-23. Now for the 22-23 allocation, we just received the funding, so we'll be able to use the funding is about $4,833,000 that we'll be able to use this year. Now, as far as the 23-24 allocation, I believe last time I heard from Michael Wilfong is that it's going to be funded until the following year. And even though on the 24-25 year, it ends, that grant ends on June 30th of 2025, if they don't fund us on that same year, he'll be able to still fund it, even though the grant is ending. They have about 6 months at the OD level to pay us. So my expectation is that if they don't pay us by June 30th of 2025, we'll be able to receive the whole funding on that summer. That's why in my projections, my extended projections for the next 2 bienniums, I include the last allocation on the 25-26 year.
Thank you. So it comes as one lump sum at the end of the year, is that correct?
That's correct, or at the beginning of the following year, pretty much. Yes, and it's a combined amount, so I have to separate out what belongs on the state school fund monies and what portion is for SIA and the portion that belongs to high school success. Because it's a 3-part that I have to do, fortunately or unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I mean, fortunately, yes, because we just keep in mind, it's not just the general fund ADM, all of that we fought to include Measure 98 and SIA. So we are getting our original number ADM in that as well. And some of those are tied up in, personnel and things of that nature too. So we really need that enrollment to come up. I think we say this every budget cycle, but leveraging all the funding sources that have come our way. Yasmin and her team just do an amazing job. And that's why, you know, we're in the position we were in, but we have some scary moments ahead.
That's right. And then I was going to say for the House Bill 4026, we're able to utilize those funds because Measure 98 was gone pretty much. We don't have the allocation yet for this year, but we're able to use the monies left over for the House Bill 4026, the Measure 98 portion, to pay for the summer pirate camp. So it's very well utilized. And for SIA, you know, between SIA funds and the House Bill 4026 SIA portion, we'll be able to pay for the school-based mental health center at the high school. So that's great use of those funds as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any more questions?
Thank you, Yasmin.
Thank you.
Okay, legislative OSBA update.
Well, as Denise has put in the notes, the roadshow is going to be on October 30th at 6 p.m. and the meeting will follow at the Ashland Hills Convention Center this year. Sarah and I are in the process of talking to Jessica ESD to see how we can assist her and maybe change the format a tad based on some input we have gotten from the members of this region. So we are working on that. Secondly, the OSBA is having a retreat on the 22nd through the Friday through Sunday. And so that will be interesting. We'll be voting for our officers for the executive committee. And then I met with Sonia, who is currently the president, but will be leaving at the end of the year. Her term will end, and then Sammy will be president. And she decided to meet with each member for 15 minutes, which I think 15 minutes was pretty, maybe for everybody else, but for me it was very short because she asked me my opinion and I had to tell her. So I was like, 15 minutes is all you give me to talk? But one of the things she'd mentioned that I wanted to throw out there with the board is that she has requested time with the governor, and she's on a wait list for OSBA to have time with the governor, and all OSBA board of directors will be able to be on that call. And she's decided to switch that up and give each region a question instead of having everyone just kind of raise their hand, that she's going to let each region ask a question, which I thanked her because I've been on those calls before and it's kind of a fight that get your hand up before all the Portland people get their hand up. And the way OSBA is made, there's some regions have 2 or 3 reps. And so if each person gets to talk, then it's representing the region. So I thanked her for being thoughtful and being more equitable on the way that this next meeting will hopefully be ran. But my homework for you all and for everybody else would be, what would be the one question or concern or change or need or want that we would want for our region? And that's a tough question to come up with. So I'm going to need your help. Yes, for the governor. I can't come up with that question by myself. No way. And then in our September meeting as well, we will be voting on if the rural school committee can turn into a rural school caucus. And then when that happens, it will come to everybody. I anticipate a yes vote on that. And so did the president. Then after I leave Hood River for the OSBA retreat, I'm going to Salem for the PACE meeting. And I'm honestly have not looked at what we're doing at the PACE because I've been too busy on a whole bunch of other stuff in board book besides PACE. So I apologize for that. Did you want to add anything, Sarah? So oh, sorry. So there was, I think I sent an email out to the region. There was a hearing for the Menstrual Dignity Act and I can't remember the second thing off the top of my head. Learning standards, and I had forgotten it. Luckily, my colleague Sarah said, "Hey, are you going to jump on this hearing?" And I expected, as most hearings during legislative session, there's a long list of people for these hearings, and everyone's talking, and I'm going to jump on, and I'm going to learn lots of stuff, and then I'm going to write my written testimony, and I'm going to sound amazing and smart. But that is not what happened. So I jump on late. I was out feeding the chickens. Sarah's like, "It's time off for the meeting." So thank you for helping me, Sarah. And I jump on. No one is there. It is this one guy and me. And when I jump on, he starts reading the whole list of things we have to do during public comment. And I'm like, hi. So, he's like, "Well, we've closed the Menstrual Dignity Act, but if you'd like it, we can open it for you." And I'm like, I was just here to listen. But I ended up speaking a little bit on both things and asked a few questions. They were super nice. Then the ODE person popped on. So there was three of us now, and we had a nice conversation. And the hearing is, I sent out the information, but I can resend it out in our regional notes. But the hearing is open for written testimony until September 30th if you have a position on any of those. And they were very nice, but just a warning, if you do these after legislative hearings, they're not booked full. And so I was trying to talk, but one proud thing is I think the only people showed up was Phoenix Talent Schools was the only people that showed up to this hearing. So I think that maybe we, that was good. Kudos to us. Thank you, Sarah. Kudos to Sarah because she made sure everybody showed up that needed to show up. So anything else? That is it.
Thank you, Dawn. Next, we have Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion update.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you. Kelly Soder, Director of Equity and Community Care, and I have a couple. I'm going to step back a little bit too. I have a couple of great things to share with you and update you on. We're really excited to be back. It's been a wonderful kickoff. It just feels so wonderful to be back and not be brand new. I think we already talked about that a little bit in our kickoff. So we started the year in August with in-service with a couple of extra days for our staff, which has been such a tremendous opportunity. We continued some of the work we started in the spring around Foundations of Equity. If you remember, we did a 2-hour session in the spring and then a 4-hour session this August. And we also provided an opportunity for anyone new to the district and or anyone that couldn't attend. So altogether 6 hours in equity around for all staff. We had a tremendous opportunity to have classified, certified administrators, custodial facilities, district office. I mean, it's probably one of the only opportunities I've had in my career where that many diverse employees of different types have been together in the same conversation. We got really, really great feedback and the recognition that this is hard work. It's messy and it's not the easiest thing. And we just really are grateful for everyone's participation. We had big groups in the gym or the theater, and it was wonderful to hear some table conversations. And certainly we also know that doesn't check the box. We're not done with this work, but it's a really great opportunity to open that conversation and really think about what that looks like for us and how we support each other in our schools. We are kind of partnering that with some common language and a Speak Up at School. I'll say a resource around strategies that we could use in our schools that could be shared with students as well when we hear something, when we say something, and we know that that's the moment, that very important moment to say something and to talk about it. So we will continue that work. We are starting up our EDI advisory committee again. You remember last year we kind of revamped it in alignment with Senate Bill 732. We're still not at that enrollment size, district size where it's required. That'll be 2025 next September. We continue to watch how that has transpired and rolled out in larger districts. But we also are embracing the opportunity to go ahead, not wait for it to become required. We had great interest again in the spring, a really diverse interest. We'll have all schools represented more. It's actually going to be bigger than we anticipated. If we may have as many as 40 on the advisory committee. It's a great opportunity to really be sure we hear all voices. Invitations and kind of communication went out to staff, or not staff, it's staff, students, parents, community members. We're making sure to include ATI as well in the coming year. So confirmations I went today, and hopefully we'll start on September 19th. Let's see. If you recall, in the spring, we also had some grant opportunities to think about our library collections and to really make a concerted effort to be sure that every student can see themselves in our books and in their in the stories that we have in our libraries. They can find their family, they can find themselves and their experiences. We have great books in our hands now, and we want to be really thoughtful about how we introduce those books and how we put them into circulation and make sure that it's an opportunity for kids. So that's something that's coming too. I want to give a shout out to our community care team. Year 2, we are rocking and rolling. Rosario's our coordinator, as you know, Yesenia at middle school, high school, Katie McCormick at Orchard Hill, Laura here at PES, and Rosario at TES. We are a great team. It feels so nice to be rolling into year 2. We really feel like we have more structure and organization. We did great things last year. And we really have a stronger direction, I'd say. So we're excited about those opportunities. You may have heard about the free haircut event and the kickoff, really thinking about all of the cool events that are coming down this year. So stay tuned for all of those good things. Let's see. Also, a reminder that we have the school-based mental health, the support that offered the health center at Phoenix High School. One of those pieces was expanding a pathway for our own employees that can both train up, kind of learn their own journey around mental health and school-based health, and even a career pathway. We have 10 current employees that are working through what's called a qualified mental health associate pathway. So they're current employees working in our schools. Outside of that, they'll do about a year of coursework and training, specializing in some really important components around mental health. We'll support them towards certification as a qualified mental health associate, and then there will be additional pathways. We want that to maintain employees in our schools. We don't want to create a nice little pathway out the door, but it really provides a strong support in our schools, and there'll be some incentives for those staff to stay with us. That is part of the federal grant with the Department of Ed. I think that's it for me.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Kelly. Next is reviewing the budget committee applicants. So we have 2 applicants that have been submitted. We're not taking any action here. We're just reviewing applications, correct? Okay. So those are 2 long-standing budget committee members who have so graciously agreed to continue service in the budget committee. Any questions about that?
I have one. How many openings are there currently? 2. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was 2 or 3, so that was just checking.
Good question. Okay. Review budget calendar is the next item. So the budget calendar is there for your review. Any questions on the calendar or comments? Okay. And we have a recess scheduled, so we will take a recess. And it's 7:08, so we'll return at 7:18. We are back. Next item of business is reviewing the district employee handbook. Do you have anything?
Jessica and her team have updated this, modified it a little bit. I don't know if you want to share anything, Jessica, on this, but
Hold on. You no, it's fine. As long as we can hear you, we're good.
The revisions that you will see in the handbook are the results of many suggestions that were made to us. Our ad team saying, it'd be really helpful if you included information about evaluation. It'd be really helpful if people could see, how to find out what their accrued leave is. It'd be really helpful, and so we really made a pretty big effort to do all of that. And so hopefully you will see that. We also were able to use OSBA's sort of sample example to make sure that we were, following all the rules and doing things properly. So.
Thank you. It looked really nice. I have 35 employees and my handbook is 42 pages. Yours is half that, so I commend you.
We're not done.
So, yeah, okay. It looks really nice though too. So any questions on the handbook? All right. Established meal prices.
yeah, they remain unchanged due to the balances, I believe. And yeah, as presented, they're unchanged.
We had to take a raise last year, so why take another one if we don't have to?
Great. Appreciate that. And note that, so can you remind, it's good to remind every time about the community eligibility provision and where we're at with that and what that looks like for the future.
Yeah, we are in year 2 of 3 for community eligibility provision, and we will have to meet that standard. In talking with Sodexo earlier this month, we can, if we meet that standard and we want to renew that within the 3-year window, we can do that because that establishes another 3 years at that time. So we'll keep an eye on that to see if we are eligible for community eligibility program for all of our schools, which has been pretty good benefit for our kids and our families. And if we meet that threshold, we might reapply early. So,
is there any concern that we wouldn't meet that because it's federal, right? Or
yeah, and the only challenge, and Tiffany would know more about this than I do, but our federal poverty rate with the Almeda fire and the number of students that we lost, a number of those students didn't meet the poverty rate, and so our poverty rate actually went down, and that's why we have less Title I funding, and so we have to make sure that we are getting families to fill out those forms to have an actual accurate rate for community eligibility, and we're making a concerted effort to do that more than we have. Oh, we're entering our 3rd year. Okay.
Thank you. Any questions on the meal prices? Okay. Strategic communication plan.
Yeah, Joe's been working on this project for a little while, and I don't know, when I saw it, I thought it was really impressive, and it really mirrored our strategic plan that we have for our district. And Joe will entertain any questions, or he can make a few comments on what he wants to highlight.
Hello. Yeah, that's really what it is. It kind of, I tried to go off of our district's strategic plan and really use that as sort of a model for what I wanted to make. And you can see it all throughout. it also was something to sort of, I thought of it as something to sort of shoot for. I mean, it's the first time I've made one of these, and my job is it's still sort of evolving, I feel like. So there's a lot in there. If you go through it, you'll see, there's a lot in there, and I hope to be able to meet all of those goals, but I'm one person. But I think it's there's a lot of great stuff in there, and it's something that I can look at when I'm wondering sometimes, does this fall within my job? Is this something I should be concerned about? And a big part of my job is to really support staff, and a lot of that has to do with our family engagement efforts. So if you have any questions, just let me know.
Thank you. Yeah.
Chris, are you PHTV Media? Right. So are you utilizing any of those resources to help community engage in or amplify the message or do something? Is there any connection with what you're doing and what he's doing?
Outside of, well, we do post their videos on the high school's website. And he does have access to all of our videos and photos, which you can use. And he may use those for some of his hype videos. Actually, we were just talking about that right before the meeting. They have a function going on tomorrow that you're all invited to. But outside of that, not a whole lot yet.
Just didn't know if they could be like your roving reporter type of things. Like, this is what's happening, and even as a potential career path type of learning how to do that. I mean, we have 2 opportunities to do that. So I guess that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Almost like an intern type situation.
High schoolers are really inexpensive once in a class. Well, Joe, thank you for this, and I think it's great. I feel very fortunate, a district our size, to have you, number one, but also have this really well laid out plan in support of our strategic mission. So thank you, and thank you for all the work that you do and telling the story, as I say, of Phoenix talent. And we already some wonderful stories in the media this week and on our socials. So appreciate all the work that you do.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay. Next is the OSBA LPC candidate nomination. So can someone explain this to us better than myself? Would that be you, Don, or Denise? I don't know that I fully understand. So Sarah's position's already up?
Yes, they go every 2 years. So
Okay.
1 year.
It's been 2 years?
January, it will be 2 years.
That is hard. Are you sure?
According to the documentation
My
from OSBA
goodness.
and all LPC members,
You did that 2 years
the
ago?
answer is yes.
And I was voted in last year, so every other year. And so if you think of it that way, the next year will be my turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are up again. So this is a nomination form. So are you interested in continuing to serve in that role?
I will. If someone wants to nominate me, I am willing to continue to serve in this role
Okay.
for another 2 years.
So then we would take action on that at the next meeting, correct? Okay.
So this board essentially would have to nominate me
Okay.
for that position.
Okay. Well,
Is how that works.
yeah. Well, if you're up for it, I just can't believe it's been 2 years already. Okay, take your word for it. Well, thank you, and thank you for serving in that role and doing it so awesome with awesomeness. So appreciate you.
So it looks
any-
like there's a candidate information and the thing that needs to be filled out and looks like signed by the board chair.
Okay, great. So we'll take care of that. Yeah, probably.
And
Great.
then once we nominate, then other boards can nominate and then we would vote
Correct.
later in the year. I just wanted to remind.
Got
And
it.
then usually each candidate can speak at the legislative roadshow as well.
Right. Okay.
I just wanted to remind you or whoever, not just you, but remind
So
everyone.
That was 2 years ago when you spoke and
So I did, I know, so I did speak last year as the representative, but the year before that, Sherry, Strittenberg, right, from Eagle Point, and so last year I was just part of, and then the year before, there were multiple candidates who spoke. Yes, that was 2 years ago.
I'm just gonna my whole drive home. That was 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago. Okay, very good. Well, I'm sure this board will be excited to nominate you. Thank you. Okay, textbook adoption for English language development. Who's taking this one? Okay.
That's me. Thank you, Chairman. The first is English language development of the 2 curriculum adoptions. This is not a new adoption. We had our Title III, which is ELD, audit this spring. And what was brought to our attention is that when we adopted last time, we had a full adoption committee. We started new materials at the secondary last school year. We adopted those National Geographic for middle school and high school. And our elementary ELD teachers had chosen to continue with the curriculum they've been using. We were supposed to have the board at that time. That's a clerical error on my part. Show that they know that we are continuing the same adoption, and that was called out in the Title III audit. So this is just to correct that clerical error on my part. I apologize to show that we're continuing with our ELD curriculum. So all 3 curricula for elementary and secondary are listed. And we have the materials, we're using them. I would ask the board to consider suspending the rules so that we can have this official and we can complete our Title III audit.
So no pressure, but we need to do something here. Okay, thank you for explaining that. Okay, so this is not a new adoption, it's just a clerical situation. We have to officially adopt this curriculum that's in use. And so I would entertain a motion. So just a reminder, to do this, we have to, we need a motion and a second and take action on suspending the rules. And then we can take action on the actual action item itself after that's done. So, yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I move to suspend the rules and move information and discussion item number 12 to action item number 1 as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Rebecca. Any discussion? Hearing none, we will vote. This is on suspending the rules. Rebecca? Sarah?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Holly?
Yes.
Nancy? Sure.
Yes.
Thank you, Nancy. I vote yes. So that has been moved to action item number 1. Now we have the next item also is a request to suspend rules. So I might propose we discuss that, go through that process, and then we can take action on each of the 2 items at once. Okay. I love when we get to vote so much. All right. H13, textbook adoption for math. Is this you again? Okay.
It's me again.
All right.
Thanks, Chairman. So when we adopted for math, we did a K-8 adoption, and with the iReady, you've seen I've included that here because now I know we're supposed to include all previous adoptions. Apologies again. And then 9-12, we did the algebra, geometry, algebra 2. At the time when we did the full adoption, the teacher who taught pre-calculus and calculus felt that he had appropriate material that aligned with SOU, the dual credit classes. We did not adopt pre-calculus or calculus. The teacher has now left and we have a new teacher with no materials. And so we had a really quick meeting this summer upon realization that we needed calculus materials. So we are asking to adopt new pre-calculus and calculus materials. So pre-calculus, the materials are the same things that are used at Southern Oregon University. It's a dual credit class. It is OpenStax. The materials online are free. We are proposing to, though, purchase the workbooks so that the teacher doesn't have to spend time at the copy machine. For calculus, this material is what Callie, who's great, by the way, she did a lot of research, is asking. It aligns directly with the SOU dual credit class. We could not use those materials, though, because they did not adequately prepare students to take the AP exam. So this has the extra pieces to take the AP exam. As well, it's available in English and Spanish, which we needed. It's online, and we're proposing to purchase the consumable workbooks for that too. These have been, since we had our committee, and we had committee members from the middle school and the high school, math, and their math coaches and administration, and myself, we've had it on public display, as well as on our website. But calculus is a hard one to adopt. I really just trust what the teacher says because I don't understand any of it. But it, like I said, it does align with the SOU. It's dual credit. It will prepare our students to take the AP exam. And so we're asking again to suspend the rules so that our new teacher has some materials that they can use. This is also available digital copy, so we can get started using that right away.
Okay, any questions about where we're at?
Ready for another
Yes,
motion?
yes,
Ken?
please.
I move to suspend the rules and move information and discussion item number 13 to action item number 2 as presented.
Thank you, Rick.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Don. Thank you, Don. Okay, vote. Rebecca,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Polly,
Yes.
Nancy.
Yes.
I vote yes. Rules are suspended. So now we're going to go back up to action items. If you're following digitally, they're magically there already. Thank you, Denise. And so we'll start with action item G1, which is the English language development. Do I have a motion? I don't think there's a recommended motion.
I move that we adopt the English language development curriculum as presented.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Polly. Discussion? Okay, we'll vote. Rebecca,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Polly,
Yes.
Nancy.
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion passes. Thank you. And item G2, textbook adoption for math. The motion?
I move that we adopt the curriculum for the math, I guess it's the calculus, as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you, Polly. Thank you, Rebecca. It's calculus and it's the materials that have been previously adopted that we're continuing to use, right? In the math curriculum. Okay, great. All right. Thank you. Any discussion?
I have something real quick. I would like
Yeah.
to thank Tiffany for answering my text like a couple of hours before the meeting. With like, hey, I asked like, was it public and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And then I love Google, so I could type in, is there any controversial thing about this algebra? Because I have no idea. If I could read the problem 10 times and I would not know. So I thank Tiffany, and she kind of giggled that I would Google that, but hey, you never know.
Yes, thank you for
So,
doing
and
that.
by the way, there was no controversial thing of
Good.
algebra.
Calculus is super simple.
Calculus, yes.
Got it. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that, because we do want to honor the public process and we also want to be sensitive to that. So thankfully calculus is pretty straightforward. Okay. We have a motion and a second, correct? Okay. Good job, everybody. All right, we'll vote. Rebecca,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Polly,
Yes.
Nancy.
Yes.
I vote yes. Go forth and teach stuff. Thank you. Yes, so good. You can use your book. All right. Good job. Okay. Next item is ATI HVAC equipment and van purchase.
Yeah, this is due to the ESSER requirements moving forward as we round out those funding sources. These are already been budgeted for, and the requirements now is for their board to approve those purchases and our board to approve those purchases because we're the overseeing that charter. And so we will bring this back next time to for approval.
I thought it was interesting to read their board minutes and about how they're thinking of changing the name of from ATI. Yeah.
What was it?
They're thinking about changing the name. I don't know if they approved it. I didn't get
It
that
was
part.
approved.
Yeah.
To what?
Armadillo Community Charter School.
Armadillo Community Charter School.
The background on that too is many of their to be more recognizable in the community. Many of our community recognizes them almost as a community college when you have Armadillo Tech Institute. And so that's what their kind of data showed and their information showed from around the community on who is ATI and what do they represent and who do they serve. And so that was kind of the background on that.
Okay, so that'll be up for action at the next meeting. Okay, next item, student representatives selection timeline. If you read the notes on that, we have some recommendations. So we would direct Kaylin and staff at this meeting to start speaking to students and encourage them to submit their applications no later than the 28th. We'd receive and review the applications at the October 5th meeting, and applicants will be invited to attend the October 19th morning meeting, and selections will be made at that time. That's a proposed time frame, right? Sorry, should I have just kicked it to you? Okay. All right. It is the 5th. Okay. So any questions on that?
I had a question and I am apologizing. I'm just asking it now and I don't really remember. But when we discussed this a few months ago, there was some reasons why we wanted to make it sooner. And there was some kind of, one of them was we wanted the students to be able to come to our, if we change for our OSBA legislative roadshow, which it looks like that. But there's also some kind of convention or workshop or something that we had thought would be helpful. It was like in November. Okay. I just wanted to clarify it was in November and not October if I was remembering correctly. But Sarah I don't know, Sarah.
I think it's the one for the student leadership one in Seaside. It's always the first weekend in November, which is I think the one that you were just talking about.
Perfect. Then that timeline works. That's all I was making sure.
Yeah, good call. Anything else?
I'm curious about what grade levels there. We had some sophomores last year, I remember. Is there talk about, is she talking to all different grade levels or particular ones? I just kind of noticed last time that we tended towards the upperclassmen, but we were allowing younger classmen to apply. And I felt like if we tend in that direction to take upperclassmen, then why are we including sophomores? I guess is my question.
In the past, we have had freshmen and sophomores, and I think it just depends. I think sometimes the seniors since they have more experience, then it comes off more, but sometimes we go on their paper. But I'd be reluctant to not have the younger classmen because and it's really a tough choice for me when that comes up there. So that might be something to think about when we're voting, but I would really like to hear from them. Even if we don't pick them, then I feel like it gives them an opportunity to maybe decide what else they want to do and learn. And we've had some that I think one time we had somebody that applied 2 or 3 times and we finally picked them, which kudos to them. But I think that it's important to have it open to everybody because you don't know, somebody may just be the shining star. And we have in the past, a couple of years ago, we had some shining stars that were younger classmen.
Totally agree that we need to have those younger classmen in there.
Okay.
Just to confirm, we're opening it to 10th through 12th graders, correct? 10th, 11th, and 12th only? That's what it was last year.
Yeah, the application hasn't changed in that regard for requirements.
So, do we have a board policy on student representatives that governs all of this? Good. Okay. Well, been a little slow on the policy front. Maybe we need another one. Yeah. Okay. I just kind of hit me like, what's our policy on who we invite to apply? We don't have.
Well, and we changed the application last year. I think it was last year was the first year that we only had sophomore through senior before it had been. So that was a good question because I don't know if we wanted to change it back, but
Yeah. Good. Thank you. Go us. All right. Okay. All right. Is that timeline I mean, it's kind of the quickest timeline we can have. So, and it does allow us to have somebody in place in time for that conference if that's an option. So, great. All right. And next and finally is the 9/21 agenda for your review. If you have any questions or concerns about that, we may have a program report to hear from the film gentleman. What's his name again, Rick? I apologize. Alex. Thank you.
Alex Soul.
Thank you.
And he's with a nonprofit organization, so I can get you that name as
Okay,
well.
great. Yeah, we may have a program report. We're gonna check, see if we can sync schedules, but that'll be good.
That'd be terrific.
Yeah, great. Okay. Anything else? Oh, and got it. We will have the LPC nomination as an action item next meeting as well. So. Okay, great. We are adjourned.